It's time again for the Potluck Party. This is John Paulus, and you're listening to the Life's Potluck Buffet. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so today's card is card 44, Map Your Own Knowledge, and knowledge is in quotation marks. And there's a reason for that. They're not scare quotes. They are referring to a specific test called the knowledge. Are you familiar with this? Well, let me tell you about it. I'll read the card. To be licensed, London cab drivers, and I'm talking about London in England, London cab drivers, you probably knew that. I wonder if London, Ontario has a knowledge. If you're from London, Ontario, please let me know if cab drivers have to pass a test. London cab drivers need to know pretty much every twist and turn of the city. I saw a number, by the way. I think it's something like 25,000 roads that they need to know. This learning is called the knowledge. Create your own personal knowledge. Say what the traits and the histories, cultures, and landscapes of where you are or where you want to be resonate with your identity and aspirations for yourself. Find new ways to act on this knowledge. So a really neat way to do this card is as a drawing exercise. The other day I took you through the card about the creating your own inscription as a writing exercise. This one's neat because it really lends itself to being a drawing exercise. So I am going to take my trusty pad. I have the pad that I use to take notes when I talk to people or go to a meeting. And it's a kind of pad that I actually switched to a smaller size recently because the kind of pad that I use, the paper is thicker and doesn't feather, which means, when ink soaks into a paper and it looks like the edges of your letters have feathers. This is a problem when you use fountain pens. This pad is the kind of pad that is thick enough to, when you use a fountain pen or a similar kind of pen with a great amount of ink flow, it doesn't feather and doesn't bleed into the paper and on the other side. I use fountain pens a lot also when I'm taking notes. The first one that I had that was really special to me was a gift from an uncle, and it was an Aurora, which is an Italian pen maker. And so when something had happened to it, and so I decided to buy another pen that was an Aurora. And so that kind of started me on an Aurora brand loyalty thing. I actually have one from the 1950s, one of their beautiful, beautiful early designs by one of the great Italian designers. Long story short, I use paper that is thick enough to withstand that pen. What I'm using to draw with is a pencil. And I very, very rarely use pencils unless I'm drawing. I don't usually use them for note-taking and other things. I just really use them when I'm sketching. And this pencil is neat because I picked it because we drew the card 44, which is Map Your Own Knowledge, and it's about that London knowledge. And so I picked out of the pencil holder this souvenir pencil that I bought at the National Gallery in London. See, a London theme. And it's neat because it has a brush on the end, like a paintbrush on the end, instead of an eraser. So it's also annoying because it is basically a pen. Once you, or I guess you have to have a separate eraser, but I don't really collect erasers. So for me, this kind of functions like a pen because I can't erase it because it just has the brush at the end. Yeah, I guess I could have another pencil on the side and use that eraser, but that's a little too much. It's a little too complex. So I kind of like the idea that whatever I sketch with this, I can't erase. I just have to go on and correct it. So that's also, I think, important for this exercise because erasing is rethinking. It's just that's the artist version of rethinking. And as you know, with these exercises, thinking can be our enemy. And so just allowing the ideas to flow out there, in this case, to flow through your pencil or pen and onto the page, that's the goal for this exercise. As we map our own knowledge. That just sounded like I was about to start a game show. As we map our own knowledge. I feel like there should be a theme after that. Okay, that was a good one. All right. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to start with the word begin. All right, starting with a graphic word. A graphic word. Okay, so I'm starting with the word begin because that came to mind. All right, and then I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to draw a triangle. It's starting to look like a pyramid, but I don't think it has to do with the pyramids. I'm going to draw it as a pyramid, but the triangle here has to do with a triangle of locations that I was kind of stuck in, because I'm trying to think about unsticking as I do this. And that triangle of locations, I used to tell people about it. There's these 3 locations that I would kind of go back and forth, working and living, going to school. So one side I'm going to darken in to shade it, and then I'm going to imagine that the other part, it's going to have like bright reflective light rays coming off of it. I'm going to draw a little sun in the background here, because that is, in fact, the side of liberation and of breaking out of patterns. And so I am going to make it a bright one side and a shaded dark side of the moon, and that's going to represent breaking out of, getting unstuck. All right, and I'm gonna write getting unstuck. Getting unstuck. Nice. Okay. I'm going to continue on. I'm feeling a path that I'm drawing here. I'm going to put an X. I'm going to put a little treasure chest there, because it looks like I'm drawing some sort of treasure map. That's good. We're finding treasure. Yeah, treasure's good. It's useful. Useful thing to have. Okay. So that's some sort of financial hope there. All right. And then, all right, that's great. And then I'm going to keep on drawing, and I think I'm going to draw the National Gallery here, because I'm going to talk to you a little bit about London. Okay. I saw a picture of the National Gallery recently, so I have a sense of what it looks like. One of its central wing part has this weird dome cupola thing that doesn't really go, in my mind, with the kind of neoclassical design of the front. It's like a kind of mix of designs, but it's very familiar from the designs of other parts of London. So I'm going to draw that dome. So yeah, this is a heck of a test, by the way. There's a video that I'm going to put with this one in the playlist that you could watch of a guy who is, it's on the Transport for London. I love how London does that, where the names are less fancy. They're just more like straightforward, like Transport for London. Well, what does that agency do? Well, Transport for London. Anyway, the test involves, as you see on this video, it's really hairy. It's really hairy. Like, you really feel for this guy who's doing this first. And this is only the first stage of the exam. But the first stage of the exam is where there's this examiner, and the examiner says a place. So, do you know this place? And in the video, the first place, he doesn't know it. And so she moves on to the second place, and then he knows that place, and then she says, okay, get from that place to this other place. And then once she says that, he has to kind of like visually drive and say what streets he's going through, making a right or a left, or going around they call it a circus, in the UK, but I guess in the US we call them a traffic circle, or maybe you call it a roundabout, or maybe if you're in another English-speaking country, you call it something different. But yeah, if you do call it something different, do say. I guess we call it, in my dialects of English, I would call it a traffic circle. But nonetheless, so, we go through that. And you have to do things that are legal, right? You can't drive the wrong way up a one-way street, clearly. So it's hair-raising, I really got to say. I was really nervous for him, but he did a great job at the end. I don't want to spoil it, but, okay. But they wouldn't put the video on the Transport for London site if the guy was like, I have no idea. And they're like, well, looks like you're going to have to find some other job, obviously. Okay. So there is our knowledge, that map that I've made. And I'm going to put on the bottom, ta-da, just for fun. So what I am going to do is say to you, give this a shot. And you could talk it through. Do it with someone else, too. It could be fun. Give it a shot. Try drawing and sketching your own map of your own knowledge. Let me know what you find out. Leave it in the comments or send me a picture of it. I'd be glad to see it. And then think about why you did the various things on the map or talk to somebody about it. And I think you'll really learn a lot about where you are by creating a map of your own knowledge. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, subscribe, and then navigate to lifespotluck.com to learn more about Life's Potluck Buffet. Have a great day. See you next time. This fair's on me.